Imagine a massive earthquake strikes your city tomorrow. Does a sudden, chaotic event like that actually change how people vote in the next election? Or think about your own local college campus. Do male and female students live in entirely different environments, or are their living situations basically identical? Now, these aren't just random passing questions. They're real-world mysteries. And the best part? We can actually solve them using data. But, just staring at a spreadsheet of raw numbers isn't going to give us the answer. We need a specific statistical magnifying glass to see if two completely different groups truly behave in the exact same way, or if they're fundamentally different. So, by the end of this lecture, you're going to understand exactly how to solve these kinds of mysteries using something called the test for homogeneity. We'll cover the core concept, the simple formulas behind it, and exactly how to apply it using real-life data so you can start testing these exact types of questions yourself.
Okay, let's dive right into section 1, the two-population problem.
To really grasp what we're doing here, we need to understand the exact problem we're trying to solve. Now, you might already be familiar with the goodness of fit test, right? That's when we take one single population and see if it fits a known distribution. It's kind of like checking if a bag of candy has exactly 20% red pieces. But what if we don't know the exact distribution? What if we want to know if two completely different populations, like, say, men and women, or voters before and after an earthquake, follow the exact same unknown distribution? Well, that is exactly where the test for homogeneity comes in. It's our analytical tool for comparing two distinct groups side by side to see if their underlying behavior actually matches. Now that we understand the basic idea, let's move to section 2, setting up the hypotheses. In statistics, we always start with a baseline assumption. We call this the null hypothesis, or H0. For this specific test, our null hypothesis is always that the distributions of our two populations are exactly the same. We just assume there's no difference whatsoever until the data proves otherwise. Our alternative hypothesis, or HA, is simply the exact opposite. The distributions of the two populations are not the same, and that is what we're aggressively testing for. Let's move along to section 3, the rules and formulas. Let's see how this builds our mathematical rules. To run the test for homogeneity, we use a chi-square test statistic. You can think of this as our scoring system to measure differences. Now, there are a few strict requirements here that we've got to follow. First, our variables have to be categorical, with more than two possible response values. So something like choosing between living in a dorm, an apartment, or with your parents. But here is the absolute most crucial rule. The expected value for every single cell in our data table must be at least 5. Seriously, if you calculate an expected value of 4, you cannot use this test. Keep that in your back pocket because it's a really common trap in data analysis. Next up, we need our degrees of freedom, which we usually just write as df. This basically tells our formula which specific curve to use to evaluate our score. And the formula? It is beautifully simple. It's literally just the number of columns in your data table minus 1. That's it, just columns minus 1. But wait, let's pause for a quick second here. If we run this test and we actually find a difference, does this test tell us exactly how the two distributions are different? Take a guess. The answer is actually no. This is a massive misconception. This test only tells us that they differ. It essentially throws up a statistical red flag saying, hey, look over here, these groups are behaving differently. But it's not going to tell you exactly where or how that split is happening. For that, you'd have to dig a lot deeper into the actual proportions.
Let's make this a whole lot easier with a real example. Section 4, college living arrangements.
All right, let's look at some numbers. We asked 250 randomly selected college men and 300 randomly selected college women about where they live. Dormitory, apartment, with parents, or other. Take a really close look at this breakdown. Do the male and female distributions look the same to you? Honestly, it's pretty hard to tell just by squinting at a data table, right? And that's exactly why we need our test. So let's run the numbers using a standard significance level, or alpha, of 0.05. First step, let's find our degrees of freedom. We have 4 columns here representing our living arrangements. Dormitory, apartment, with parents, and other. So 4 minus 1 equals 3. Our DF is 3. Easy enough? Now imagine we're up at the whiteboard together. If you're using a standard TI-83 or 84 calculator, here is exactly how you handle this whole process. You're going to hit the matrix key, arrow over to edit, and select matrix A. Just punch in your table values row by row. Then hit stat, Arrow over to tests and scroll all the way down to option C, which is the chi-square test. Hit calculate and boom, it does all that heavy mathematical lifting for you. And here is exactly what the calculator spits out. A chi-square test statistic of 10.1287. It also gives us our exact p-value, which comes out to 0.0175. Okay, time for another quick check to see if you're following along. We have our p-value, 0.0175, and our standard alpha level is 0.05. Since our p-value is clearly less than our alpha, what is our final decision? Do we keep that baseline assumption, or do we throw it out? We reject H0 because our p-value is so low we reject the null hypothesis, and this brilliantly illustrates our point. At a 5% level of significance, we have enough statistical evidence to say with total confidence that the distributions of living arrangements for college men and college women are in fact completely different. They just do not share the same environmental patterns. Now let's connect this to real life with our second mystery. Section 5, Earthquakes and Voters. Picture a city gearing up for a really tense council election between three candidates, Perez, Chung, and Stevens. But suddenly, out of nowhere, a massive earthquake strikes. The whole city is rocked. Now, did this terrifying natural disaster actually shift the political leanings of the voters? Well, we surveyed people before the quake and after. Our null hypothesis here is that the voter preferences stayed exactly the same. Let's see what the data actually says. First step are degrees of freedom. We have three candidates, which means three columns. 3 minus 1 gives us a DF of 2.
We run our matrix on the calculator, just like we did before, and out pops our math. Our chi-square test statistic is 3.2603, and our resulting p-value is 0.1959. So the crucial point here is comparing that p-value right back to our alpha of 0.05.
Our p-value of 0.1959 is way, way higher than our alpha of 0.05. Because of that, our decision is to not reject H0. The Didier just doesn't cross that mathematical threshold. So despite all the chaos of the earthquake, there's actually insufficient evidence to conclude that voter preferences changed at all. People basically stuck to their original candidates. Let's wrap things up. Section 6, Summary and Final Takeaways. Before we finish, let's quickly summarize the key points we've learned today. The test for homogeneity compares two unknown populations to see if they follow the exact same distribution. We absolutely must have expected values of at least 5 in every single cell. Our degrees of freedom are always calculated as columns minus 1, and remember, rejecting the null hypothesis only tells us that the distributions are different, not how they're different. Now, I want to leave you with one final thought to really test your new analytical skills. Think about the cars parked out on your street. Do families and single people drive the exact same types of cars? Sports cars, sedans, trucks, SUVs? Think about how you'd set up those columns, find the degrees of freedom, and test that hypothesis with real data. Give it a try on your own, and we'll explore some more statistical mysteries in our next